Imagine the scene: twinkling lights strung across lampposts, the crisp winter air filled with the sound of marching bands, children's laughter echoing as candy canes are tossed from floats. For generations, the Waukesha Christmas Parade had been the heartbeat of this Wisconsin community's holiday season. But on November 21st, 2021, in just 76 seconds of unimaginable horror, this cherished tradition became the backdrop for one of America's most devastating acts of public violence. The screeching of tires, the desperate screams, the sickening thuds as a red SUV plowed through barricades and into human beings, grandmothers, children, families, treating them as if they were nothing more than obstacles in a twisted path of destruction. 6 lives extinguished, 62 bodies broken, countless hearts shattered. Welcome, I'm Aiden, and today we dive into the Waukesha Christmas Parade tragedy. Before the name Darrell Brooks Jr. became synonymous with the Waukesha Massacre, his path toward violence was being paved, brick by brick, through a criminal career spanning more than half his life. Picture Milwaukee in 1999. A 17-year-old Brooks stands before a judge for his first felony, substantial battery. The gavel falls, but instead of serving as a course correction, this moment marks the beginning of a 2-decade descent into increasingly violent behavior. Like reading the rings of a poison tree, Brooks's criminal record tells a story of escalation. Domestic violence, sexual crimes, firearms offenses, each charge a warning sign flashing red. By autumn 2021, the warning lights were blinding. Just weeks before the parade, Brooks stood in a Milwaukee gas station, allegedly arguing with his girlfriend. Security cameras captured what happened next. Brooks deliberately running the woman over with his red Ford Escape, leaving tire tracks across her leg and blood streaming down her face. The charge: second-degree recklessly endangering safety. The bail: a mere $1,000, an amount that would prove catastrophically inadequate. On the very day of the parade, the fuse was lit again. Brooks met his ex-girlfriend at Frame Park, violating his bond conditions. Witnesses described him striking her in the face before speeding away in that same red SUV. His rage already boiling, his vehicle already weaponized. What happened in those critical minutes between this domestic dispute and his arrival at the parade route? We may never know. But what we do know is that Brooks's path of destruction was about to widen from intimate partner violence to mass casualty. 4:39 p.m. The sun was beginning to set on Waukesha's main street. The Milwaukee dancing grannies, beloved grandmothers in matching white outfits and Santa hats, were performing their choreographed routine. The Waukesha South High School band's brass instruments gleamed under the holiday lights. 8-year-old Jackson Sparks walked proudly with his baseball team, his brother Tucker by his side. Then came the sound that witnesses would never forget: an engine revving to full throttle. "I saw the car plow into the band that was just in front of us," recalled one parade-goer, her voice still trembling days later. "Bodies were flying. A child's shoe landed next to me, just the shoe." The red Ford Escape didn't simply enter the parade route by accident. It zigzagged with purpose, maximizing human impact at speeds approaching 40 miles per hour. Officer Bryce Butrin described lunging at the vehicle, banging on the hood, looking directly into Brooks's eyes, seeing not panic or confusion, but cold determination. Another officer fired his service weapon 3 times in desperation, but the SUV continued its deadly mission. In its wake, Virginia Sorensen, 79, Leanna Owen, 71, Tamara Durand, 52, Jane Coolish, 52, Wilhelm Hospel, 81, all adults whose lives had been dedicated to community service. And Jackson Sparks, just 8 years old, whose small body would succumb to his injuries 2 days later in a pediatric intensive care unit. His parents at his bedside. The manhunt lasted less than an hour. Brooks, seemingly calculating his escape, approached a resident's home claiming to be homeless, asking to use a phone to call an Uber. The unsuspecting homeowner even made him a sandwich. But when police arrived, the facade crumbled, and the man who had just committed one of Wisconsin's deadliest acts of violence was taken into custody without incident. a jarring contrast to the chaos he had unleashed minutes earlier. What unfolded in the Waukesha County Courthouse over the following year was unlike anything the Wisconsin judicial system had ever witnessed. Brooks, in a strategic move that would test the court's very foundations, chose to represent himself, transforming what should have been a straightforward prosecution into judicial theater of the absurd. "I don't recognize the name Darrell Brooks," he would repeatedly declare to an increasingly exasperated Judge Jennifer Dorrow. "I am a sovereign citizen. This court has no jurisdiction over me." Day after day, Brooks orchestrated disruptions that pushed the boundaries of courtroom decorum. He would shout over witnesses, strip off his shirt in protest, build a fort of legal boxes to hide behind, and stare down jurors until they became visibly uncomfortable. Judge Dorrow, displaying remarkable restraint, was forced to remove him from the courtroom more than a dozen times, relegating him to a nearby room where his microphone could be muted when his outbursts became too much. "The court finds your conduct to be obstreperous, disruptive, and disrespectful," Dorrow stated during one particularly chaotic session. "I am the judge. You are the defendant. I am making the legal decisions." Despite Brooks's attempts to derail proceedings through chaos, the evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, police testimony, medical records, eyewitness accounts. The jury, after enduring weeks of Brooks' antics, needed less than 3 hours to reach their verdict. Guilty on all 76 counts. But it was during the sentencing hearing that the full emotional weight of the case came crashing down. 45 victims and family members approached the podium, their pain still raw, their lives forever altered. Sherry Sparks, clutching a photo of her son Jackson in his baseball uniform, spoke through tears that seemed bottomless. "I feel gutted and broken. It hurts to breathe sometimes," she said, her husband's supportive hand trembling on her shoulder. "My mama's soul aches for him. The pain of losing a child is like no other. It's a wound that never closes." Chris Owen, son of dancing granny Leanna Owen, locked eyes with Brooks and delivered words simmering with controlled rage. "All I ask is you rot, and you rot slow." When Brooks finally spoke, he rambled for over 2 hours, claiming mental illness and insisting the attack was not intentional. "What happened on November 21st, 2021 was not an attack," he insisted, his voice rising. His mother and grandmother pleaded for mental health treatment instead of incarceration, claiming his bipolar disorder had driven his actions. Judge Dorrow, who had reviewed evaluations from 4 psychologists, was unmoved. Her voice carrying the weight of judicial authority, tempered with genuine emotion, she delivered her sentence on November 16, 2022. "Frankly, Mr. Brooks, no one is safe from you," she declared, wiping away a tear. "This community can only be safe if you are behind bars for the rest of your life. You left a path of destruction, chaos, death, injury, and panic as you drove 7 or so blocks through the Christmas parade." The sentence? 6 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, 1 for each life taken, plus an additional 762.5 years for the remaining counts. As the judge read each victim's name, the gallery erupted in applause, a community's collective exhale after a year of holding its breath. But the questions it left in its wake continued to reverberate through America's criminal justice system like aftershocks. How did a man with 76 prior charges, including recently running over a woman with the same vehicle, walk free on $1,000 bail? What invisible threads connect domestic violence to mass casualty events, and why do we so often fail to see them until it's too late? When mental health claims collide with criminal responsibility, where do we draw the line between treatment and public safety? These aren't abstract policy questions. They are matters of life and death, illustrated by 6 caskets, one heartbreakingly small, that should never have been needed. Yet amid this darkness, Waukesha showed us something profound about the human spirit. Within hours of the attack, a community fund was established that would eventually raise over $6 million for victims. Local contractors volunteered their skills to build wheelchair ramps for the injured. Neighbors cooked meals for grieving families. Children sent handmade cards to first responders. At a candlelight vigil 1 week after the attack, thousands gathered in freezing temperatures, their collective breath visible in the night air, their candles pushing back against the darkness, one small flame at a time. They sang Silent Night, a song about peace in a community that had seen anything but. Today, a permanent memorial stands in Waukesha's Grade Park, 6 stone pillars representing the lives lost. Visitors often leave flowers, stuffed animals, and baseball caps for young Jackson. The Milwaukee Dancing Grannies, despite losing 3 members and the husband of a 4th, continue to perform, wearing special badges honoring their fallen friends. As we reflect on this tragedy, remember their names: Tamara Durand, Wilhelm Hospel, Jane Kulich, Leanna Owen, Virginia Sorensen, and Jackson Sparks. Their lives were not defined by how they died, but by how they lived, with purpose, with joy, with love for their community. The Waukesha Christmas Parade continues each year, a testament to resilience, a refusal to let fear win. Because sometimes the most powerful response to darkness is to keep the lights burning, to keep the music playing, to keep marching forward. Together. If this exploration of justice, community resilience, and the complex questions raised by this case resonated with you, please support this channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. Your engagement helps us continue bringing these important stories to light, examining not just what happened, but why it matters. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay curious.